So we'll now move on to the joint Minnehaha County and Sioux Falls Planning Commission. Good evening, and I call to order this regular meeting of the Minnehaha County and Sioux Falls Planning Commission. And I will begin with a few introductory comments. As a courtesy to everyone here tonight, please make sure that all cell phones have been silenced. Please note that tonight's Planning Commission meeting will be rebroadcast via CityLink and posted on the www.minnehahacounty.gov site for viewing by the general public. The two planning commissions work together on land use and zoning matters within the rural area surrounding the city. This area is displayed on the screen. When this joint hearing is completed, the joint Sioux Falls and County Planning Commission will adjourn, and the next regular business meeting will begin to consider plan items beyond the joint zoning jurisdiction with Sioux Falls. Any action taken on the zoning text amendment during the public hearing tonight is a recommendation that will be forwarded to the County Commission and City Council for another public hearing on Tuesday, May 26, 2026, at or after 5 p.m. Joint meetings of the County Commission and the City Council are held in Carnegie Town Hall, and that is located at 235 West 10th Street. First on our agenda is public input. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on an item that is not on the agenda? All right, tonight we just have the regular agenda, and the first item is the approval of the minutes of the March 23rd, 2026 meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion to approve the minutes of the March 23rd, 2026 meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes on the county side.
I'll look for a motion on the city side.
Motion to approve.
Second.
First and a second, any further discussion? All those in favor, please say yes.
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 Opposed, same sign. Passes on the city side.
Item number 2 is the zoning text amendment 26-09 to amend the revised joint zoning ordinance for Minnehaha County and the City of Sioux Falls to update Article 23-00 general provisions. Mason?
Yes, good evening, Commissioners. Mason Steffen from the County Planning Office. So as explained, oh, I have the wrong folder. Give me 1 second. So as explained by Bonnie, this is an amendment to Article 23, which is the general provisions. The City of Sioux Falls zoning ordinance is a little bit different than the county and Del Rapids zoning ordinance in the fact that the general provisions article and the building permit regulations article are all in one article titled general provisions. In the county, they have a separate general provisions and a separate building permits article. So the layout of this article does look a little bit different than in the other two zoning ordinances for the county, but in general, the updates will be the same. The one thing I will mention is that in the other zoning text amendments that we'll be looking at tonight, we are recommending changing the title to other permits. Staff isn't recommending that in this case, like I just mentioned, because of the other regulations in this article in the joint Sioux Falls zoning ordinance. So the reason for this change is mostly clerical. Currently in the zoning ordinance, there are several regulations in here about when building permits expire, when building permits are issued. And one of the inconsistencies is that currently in the zoning ordinance, it says that a building permit expires if within 180 days of inactivity or within 180 days of the permit being issued. But in the county, in the building codes adopted by the county, we have adopted that all building permits issued by our office are valid for 365 days. So currently, that is an inconsistency between the zoning ordinance and the building codes adopted in the county. So this is changing the regulations in the zoning ordinance to point towards the international building codes. So going forward, if this change is approved, anytime the international building code is changed and adopted by the county, that would be the regulations followed in the zoning ordinance as well. So you wouldn't have to amend the zoning ordinance every time you adopt new building codes in the rural area. And then also, there are several language things that will be changed in this. One major language change is that currently in this general provisions section, several years ago, there were zoning permits added to the joint jurisdiction with Sioux Falls, but there was never actually a process laid out in this general provisions of how to issue zoning permits. So currently, all previous zoning permits will be grandfathered uses, but technically, there was no actual layout in this ordinance of how to issue them. So we technically should not have been issuing zoning permits for the last 10 years in the joint Sioux Falls jurisdiction, but that was mostly a minor oversight because they weren't allowed use. There just wasn't the actual laid out process in the general provisions section. So it's actually outlining that a zoning permit, it will follow similar to what most of you are aware of, conditional use permits. So zoning permits would be anything like a home occupation that doesn't come to you guys in the joint jurisdiction with Sioux Falls. And that would be that if it's approved, it would expire after 2 years, just like a conditional use permit does, where if you guys approve a conditional use permit, it expires after 2 years of inactivity or nothing happening on the property. The other main thing was adding a new article called issuance. So that kind of changed the numbering of everything below it. So if we look at the new ordinance, 2304 site plan, and then below that there's 2305 issuance. So everything underneath 2305 issuance used to be underneath the site plan article. And that didn't make much sense because pretty much everything in the 2305 or issuance has to do with the issuance of the permit, not the site plan. So what is current now underneath the 2305 ordinance is to the effect that we are allowed to issue permits, that we have to do that within a reasonable time frame as long as it doesn't conflict with other laws, and all work performed under the permit issued by us must conform to everything in these regulations. So they're very much more so how we issue the permit, not specifically with the site plan. So adding that new section there caused every section below it to have its number changed. And then the final thing that was done was adding a 2312 expiration of permits at the bottom. So that wasn't actually in its own separate section. It was up further in underneath a separate section. So this is just pulling it into its own section and defining when permits expired. As I mentioned, building permits will expire as adopted in the building code, which is currently 365 days, and then zoning permits are expired after 2 years, and that is for the actual zoning ordinance. So if that was ever to be changed, that would need to be changed in the zoning ordinance. But with that, staff does recommend approval of zoning text amendment 2609 to amend Article 23 of the revised zoning ordinance for Minnehaha County and the city of Sioux Falls. And if you have any questions, I'm available.
Any questions for him? Guess not.
Thank you.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Go ahead.
Madam Chairman, this is a public hearing, so you need to ask for any
Okay,
public
all
input.
right. Is there anyone from the audience who would care to speak to this item? Okay, commissioners.
Motion to approve. I second.
I have a motion and second to approve zoning text amendment 26-09. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes on the county side.
On the city side, look for a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, same sign. Pass on the city side.
Thank you. Any old business?
No,
New business?
no.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes on the county side.
On the city side.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
A motion to adjourn is second. All those in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, same sign. We're adjourned on the city side.
Thank you. Thank you.